Have you ever left something unfinished? Sorry, what I mean is, have you ever started something and you didn't complete your own? Now, for those of you in my audience with ADHD, I am sorry for triggering you. I'm sorry for anyone who needs to have these things completed. I'm sorry this episode frustrated you from the beginning. I've been guilty from this from time to time. It's kind of a problem. I haven't always seen things through, specifically things of a personal nature, goals, personal projects, home projects, etc. This podcast was one of those such things for a long time. Let me talk about some things real quick. The first and biggest obstacle I think we find when it comes to completing goals that we set for ourselves or leaving things unfinished is the great beast, perfectionism. Wanting it to be just right has been my biggest challenge out of all of them. I want things to be perfect right out the gate. And you've probably heard of it, and you've probably heard it said, like I have. Just do it and accept the imperfection and know that you can refine it afterwards. Truth is, when it comes to a podcast like this, when it comes to recording music, when it comes to so many other things, there are a lot of things out there of mine that are not perfect. And I probably could have spent more time with them and refined them, but I didn't. But that's the key, right? Refine it. Perfection cannot be achieved without refining. We've probably heard the turn of phrase, polish a turd and it's still a turd. Polish a diamond and you have a diamond worth more value because you increased the visibility on its clarity. To put it another way, you can work with dirt and poo and try to make it something, but it will still be dirt and poo. Alternatively, if you work with things like clay, paint, digital media, stones, you can potentially refine them and make them into something quite valuable. The next thing I struggle with, or is a big obstacle for me, is focus. Perhaps you're easily distracted. I know I struggle with this, especially working on multiple projects. I get working on one and then I have an idea for another, and I start working on that one. It's actually quite infuriating and rewarding at the same time. To be creatively inspired by even what I'm working on is kind of frustrating. But then after I've focused on it, I also have to decide if I'm going to prioritize it. And that's one of the things that I've changed for myself in creating a workflow. Listing out my projects on a sheet of paper or a document on my computer, and then I weigh the projects in importance. For example, this podcast is weighted as a 1 right now for me as a personal project. All the projects sit on the back burner when I'm working on this. I'm presently working a document that is scannable via a tool called Rocketbook. And this app allows me to scan my handwritten notes and my handwritten sheets into my Google Drive as content that I can pretty much send anywhere. And this allows me to create pages with the content necessary for me to use it or for you to use it within the Rocket app. And I will make some of those sample pages available, as well as a link to the Rocketbook website where you can download and purchase some of the documents that I've pre-formatted or that are already presently formatted on their own website to tailor to your needs and your desires. So what is the end goal of your project? I've wanted to lose weight for 10 years now and not really been very successful, mostly because I didn't define why I was doing it. what I was doing it for. Have you taken the time to define your why or your what? If you haven't, you need to. FYI, perfectionism gets in the way of this. Focus gets in the way of this one. So you might be wondering, why did you start with this and make this the first step? As I said, I tend to leave things unfinished. Not my greatest trait, but I am also secretly proving my point that this is a process, a journey. Refine your projects, prioritize them, and then define them. And you can swap priorities and you can swap defining your projects. But the greatest reason why I order it in this way is because we want our projects to be refined. Then we want to make sure that we are actually prioritizing them, especially if we have multiple projects. And then defining the why we're doing it might help us even know right here, right now, whether or not we even want to proceed with the project, whether we even want to put it out there. So that we have clarity on the beginning of the project and perhaps even at the end of the project, while also clarifying how important the project is to us, and then defining that importance by attaching perhaps an emotional reason behind it and why you do the work or the project. For me, weight loss became about the journey for me with my family. I wanted to make sure that I was present and around for my kids and my wife for as long as possible. That's a huge why. This podcast was a huge priority for me because I realized how many voices out there in the world were so negative towards Christians, towards people in general, and not being positive and uplifting and encouraging to others and letting them know, you can do this. You got this. You are capable. You can overcome the things in your life that you need to overcome. You can accomplish the goals that you want to accomplish. I'm living proof. Another thing I prioritize in my life is finding alternative avenues of creativity. I'm currently writing more, writing physical book-like material. I'm currently writing creative book material. I'm writing music. And I'm also finding renewed creativity in the position that I'm in now in my church that I serve at as a full-time worship pastor. So it's so important for us that we define and refine and prioritize our goals and our visions for ourselves, because the more that we do that and the more that we let perfectionism take a backseat, the more we let focus take a more front seat on the things that we need to have focus on, the better we will get at leaving things more complete rather than unfinished. Thanks for listening to the podcast today. Thank you for liking, sharing, and subscribing. If you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to click the bell so that you can get updated every time I take a journey home. You can also go to aguysproduction.com to connect with me, and ajourneyhome.blog if you want to find all the episodes of previous seasons of this podcast there. All the socials are linked in the show notes below and on YouTube. Be kind to each other, show faith, love, and hope to those who need it. Have a great week, and I'm going home. Thanks for listening to the podcast. Thank you for liking, sharing, and subscribing. If you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to click the bell so that you can get updated every time I take a journey home. You can also go to aguysproduction.com to connect with me and journeyhome.blog if you want to find all the episodes of previous seasons of this podcast there. All the socials are linked in the show notes below and on YouTube. Be kind to each other, show faith, love, and hope to those who need it. Have a great week, and I'm going home.